Have you ever wondered what drives an artist to the edge of madness, painting his worst nightmares on the wall of his home, revealing the darkest corners of his mind? Francisco de Goya did just that. He painted with obsessive intensity, creating twisted, deeply disturbing images that became some of the most haunting art ever made. These were Goya's secret paintings, created in isolation during the final years of his life. Why did this famous artist create such disturbing works? And what did he hide in his secluded villa? Today, I'll take you into Goya's crumbling home to uncover the dark truth behind his black paintings, a revelation that will haunt you long after. In the late 18th century, Francisco de Goya was not yet the master of horror we know today. He began as a celebrated court painter, lauded for his vivid portraits of Spanish royalty. His early works were bright, elegant, and optimistic, a reflection of his status in society. But as he aged, the world around him began to crumble. War ravaged Spain, corruption festered within its monarchy, and Goya himself faced a personal crisis. Between late 1792 and early 1793, an undiagnosed illness left him permanently deaf. This sudden, unexplained loss was devastating. Silence became Goya's new reality, intensifying his fears and anxieties. He began the series of aqua-tinted etchings, known as the Capricios, while still fulfilling official commissions. In these 80 Capricios, published in 1799, Goya depicted the innumerable foibles and follies to be found in any civilized society. These works revealed his sharp, satirical wit and his disdain for societal norms. One print bore the caption, "The sleep of reason produces monsters," reflecting Goya's belief in the dark consequences of abandoning rational thought. While convalescing between 1793 and 1794, Goya created 11 small paintings on tin that marked a major shift in his style. These works were visions of loneliness, fear, and social alienation. Yard with Lunatics vividly portrayed the brutal condition faced by society's marginalized and served as an early example of his fascination with the grotesque and tragic. Spain's turbulent political climate only worsened his mental state. His works became an outlet for his fear and despair, confronting the darkness that consumed him. His focus shifted from ideals of beauty to the chilling intersection of naturalism and fantasy. This shift culminated in the eerie and haunting imagery of the black paintings. What drove Goya to paint the black paintings? It was a combination of personal suffering, political disillusionment, and profound isolation. The silence of deafness, the horrors of war, and his deteriorating health led Goya to explore the darkest depths of the human experience. The black paintings were his attempt to give form to his fears, a way to confront the demons that haunted him. In 1819, at the age of 72, Goya moved into the Villa of the Deaf One, an estate that would become both a sanctuary and a prison for him. The house, located on the outskirts of Madrid, took its name from a previous owner who had also been deaf. The villa, with its isolation and eerie stillness, became Goya's refuge, a place where he could escape public life and confront its darkest fears in solitude. Here, Goya underwent his final transformation. He worked alone, painting directly onto the walls of his home. These paintings were created without any intention of public exhibition. 14 murals in total, later known as the Black Paintings, covered the villa's walls. The series included such titles as Witch's Sabbath, Judith and Holofernes, and The Dog, filled with witches, demons, and grotesque figures, a reflection of Goya's deep cynicism, fear of madness, and bleak outlook on humanity. Why did Goya keep these paintings hidden from public eyes? It's likely because they were never meant for anyone but himself. They were an expression of his innermost demons, a way to cope with the terror and despair that consumed him. Goya's black paintings were not about pleasing an audience. They were about survival, about putting a face to the darkness he felt within. The murals depicted scenes of violence, dark rituals, and figures that seemed to hover between reality and the supernatural. They were painted over earlier, light-tone rural scenes, suggesting a deliberate act of burying his former hopeful outlook. After Goya left the villa in 1823, ownership passed to his grandson. The murals remained untouched for 50 years, when they were carefully removed from the villa's walls and transferred to canvas. The process inevitably caused some damage, and what remains today are only approximations of Goya's original work. But among these terrifying images, one painting stands out. A vision so haunting that it remains iconic to this day. It's called Saturn Devouring His Son. Picture this, a monstrous figure, eyes wide with insatiable hunger. His skeletal hands clutch the limp body of his child. Head and arm already gone, consumed in a frantic frenzy. This is Saturn, the Roman god devouring his offspring to prevent a prophecy of his own downfall. In Roman mythology, Saturn consumed his children to avoid being overthrown, mirroring his action against his own father. To fully appreciate Goya's Saturn Devouring His Son, it's important to explore the multiple interpretations that shed light on the complex symbolism woven into the artwork. If you're as captivated by the haunting world of Francisco Goya as I am, why not bring a piece of this dark history into your own home? My e-commerce store offers a carefully curated selection of posters, fine art prints, and framed canvases from famous artists, including Goya's unforgettable works. For a limited time, you can also find exclusive offers, making it easier than ever to own a stunning piece of art history. There's something for every art lover. One prevalent interpretation is that the painting represents the destructive nature of power, the all-consuming hunger to maintain control, even at the cost of one's own children. Saturn's desperate act reflects the inevitable cycle of tyranny and betrayal, and Goya may have seen parallels between Saturn's myth and the political unrest in Spain during his lifetime. The ruling elite, much like Saturn, seemed willing to devour the future to maintain their grip on power. Another layer of meaning can be found in the portrayal of raw madness. Unlike earlier depiction of Saturn by artists like Rubens, who painted the god as a calculated figure, Goya's Saturn is unhinged, wild, almost animalistic. The gory scene and the lifeless body of the child convey a visceral sense of horror, suggesting that this is not just about power, but about the loss of reason itself. It's a vision of the chaos that lurks beneath the surface of human nature, a theme that resonated deeply with Goya, who had faced his own fears of mental deterioration. The painting's stark contrast between light and shadow also plays a crucial role in its impact. Saturn's body emerges from the abyss of darkness, symbolizing the unknown fears that consume us. The bright, pallid flesh of the child stands out against the blackness, drawing attention to the innocence that is destroyed by blind, consuming power. This interplay of light and dark serves as a metaphor for the constant struggle between reason and madness, hope and despair. Saturn's madness could be seen as a manifestation of Goya's anxieties, his fear of losing control over his own mind and body, and the terror of being consumed by the darkness within. It's no wonder that Goya kept these paintings hidden in his home. They were Goya's personal exorcism, a means to give form to the inner demons and the madness that tormented him. The Villa of the Deaf One was demolished in 1909, but thankfully, Goya's black paintings were saved, transferred onto canvas and preserved for future generations. There's another terrifying world to explore, The Garden of Earthly Delights by Hieronymus Bosch, another painting that challenges everything we think we know about the boundaries of art and the human psyche.